Good evening everyone, and welcome to Gundam News. And this week, we got quite some banger announcements. But before we get more into those, a new month means a new Gunpla schedule. And both releases for December are on the 14th. For 3,520 yen, 23 US, we have the BB Senshi Cosmic Era 73 Stargazer set, which consists of the Strike Noir, Verde Buster, Blue Duel, and the Stargazer, all of which are identical to their original releases. And for 8,800 yen, 59 US, you can get the very golden real great Owashi Akatsuki Gundam. If your Christmas tree doesn't have a star yet, you might want to consider using this thing instead. Just make sure that you properly secure it, because its frame does reuse some parts from the old real grade Strike Gundam. And let's just say that the old real grades weren't exactly known for their structural integrity. But at the very least, this thing does look amazing. So, about those new announcements now. The big one that of course had everyone talking was the new Gundam anime announcement, GQuuuuuuX. Now, I did already do a dedicated video on it, which I will have linked on screen and down below, but there are still a few things that I want to add to that video. First of all, despite looking like a Gundam, there are quite some people speculating that the GQuuuuuuX isn't actually a Gundam. And there are quite a few reasons for this. The first one is that none of the merchandise directly calls the GQuuuuuuX a Gundam. And the second one is that in the synopsis of the story, there is talk about an unidentified Gundam that is separate from the GQuuuuuuX. And personally, when I read the synopsis the first time, I interpreted that in a different way. I understood that the GQuuuuuuX would be the first Gundam, which would be piloted by Machu, and then that the unidentified Gundam was the second Gundam, which would be piloted by Shuji. And also, in the Gundam Conference Winter 2024, they were using the word Gundam to refer to the GQuuuuuuX, although I wouldn't necessarily consider that proof of whether it's a Gundam or not. They could have just been, saying that. So yeah, for the first time ever in a Gundam TV series, the first lead mobile suit might not be a Gundam. Next up then, in yesterday's video, I talked about how the word MAV is mentioned, but how it isn't really explained what exactly it means yet. But also in that Gundam conference, they briefly touch upon this, because one of the announcers had the exact same question as I did. And it is then described as both the strategy used by two mobile suits and the pilot of the partner mobile suit. And at one point, they also pronounce it as MAV, which could just be they're spelling it out how it would be spelled in English, or it could be an acronym which means something. And finally, for the people who interpret the pronunciation of the GQuuuuuuX as GQuarks, I like your idea, but unfortunately, Quarks is written differently in Japanese. The second big announcement then is that SD Gundam G Generation Eternal is finally getting another network test. You can sign up for this test until midnight January 7th, Japanese time, and it is open to people from Hong Kong, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and the United States. So let me just quickly open up NordVPN, and there we go. How do you do, fellow Americans? Let's go test out that SD Gundam G Generation Eternal thing with the Freedom Gundam. And if you also need to dodge some of those pesky region locks, you can get NordVPN with the link down below. Not only will this get you a sweet discount, but you'll also be supporting the channel. Whether or not you get picked then will be announced on the 17th of January, with the test itself being held from January the 24th, 12 AM to January the 29th, 11:59 AM. Again, Japan time. A test then that is currently going on is the Gundam Metaverse. And now, I was originally planning to just relay the information I was given on the official website because I had misunderstood something. I automatically assumed that because you had to sign up beforehand, that it was going to be a closed test. So because I didn't get any email confirming that I was in, I assumed, falsely, that I was out. And then like an hour before recording this video, I decided to try to log in for, who knows, and I got in. So this is when I realized oh, if you signed up, you automatically get in. So now instead, in a few days, I will give you my full thoughts on the latest version of the amazing Gundam Metaverse. I'm sure you all can't wait. And for anyone else who signed up, you might be able to catch me at the Hatsune Miku concert. And for that concert, they also have a bunch of merchandise, which is both available in the Metaverse and also just on Premium Bandai. We've got 2 Carddass cards, where the HP value is a joke on Miku's name, because Mi is 3 and Ku is 9, so they made her HP 39. There's a bunch of t-shirts, a baseball cap, a muffler towel, and of course a bunch of acrylic things, featuring that really nice new art of Miku. On the Gunpla front then, on the Asian Premium Bandais, pre-orders went up for the real grade Banshee Final Battle Specification Special Coding version, which goes for a whopping 12,650 yen, 84 US. And we also got a cool announcement for the RX-78F00/E Gundam, which was bundled together with more information about the Gundam Next Future Pavilion, which will be present at the Osaka World Expo. They've given us some concept images of what the inside will look like, the staff will be wearing a Witch from Mercury inspired uniform, and we also got some cool new designs for Haro and the RX-78F00/E Gundam, which got a new piece of equipment called the Glass Feather. The quote-unquote wings remind me quite a bit of the Gundam X and the Double X, and I also wonder what that rail on the back is going to be for. It kinda reminds me of a fin funnel carrying thing, a bit carrying thing, but I don't think that's what it's gonna be. Whatever it is, these new designs will appear on a video that is played inside of the pavilion, and of course you can also buy this new Gundam as a variety of things. First up, we have a non-graded 1/144th scale that comes with the Glass Feather backpack included. And even though they don't give us a grade, it goes for 3,960 yen, 26 US, so it's pretty much going to be a high-end high grade. And you can really tell this with the backpack. Those things sticking out in the middle are sub-arms, which can move, and in addition to the standard beam rifle, we're also getting a beam welding gun, which has a fan on it when it's activated. And if you'd want to, you can also build it as the standard RX-78F00 Gundam. Cheaper then is the entry grade, but rather than buying the complete set, you have to buy them as 2 separate sets. There's the RX-78F00/E Gundam for 1,320 yen, 9 US, and then the Glass Feather option set for 1,100 yen, 7 US. But technically speaking, the name of the entry grade RX-78F00/E Gundam isn't correct, because in that set, you are only getting the RX-78F00 Gundam. And of course its accessories being 2 beam sabers, a shield, and a beam rifle. To turn it into the /E, you have to get that option part set, which then also has the Glass Feather. But all of these are slated for an April release and are regular releases. Compare this then to the Robot Spirits figure, which also went up for pre-order and also got a Glass Feather option set announced. It's called also the RX-78F00/E Gundam, but now it actually comes with the parts to make it the /E. The option set then will consist of only the Glass Feather backpack, with more details to be unveiled at a later date. Also releasing in April is this /E prize figure, and in May it'll become available as a Chogokin figure for 33,000 yen, 220 US. Based on the previously released Chogokin RX-78F00 Gundam, this thing comes with many of the same features, like a bazooka, a shield, a beam rifle, an action base, and light-up eyes and chest vents. But unfortunately, the new armor parts don't light up. Just imagine how awesome it would have been if this thing entirely lit up. The thing is currently up for lottery sales on Japan's premium Bandai, but in May, it'll also become available at Bandai Namco Cross stores and in Tamashii Nation stores, including a new store that will temporarily open up in Osaka from March until an as of yet undetermined time. And then finally, also releasing in April, are these two plushie keychains of the redesigned Haros. They go for 1,760 yen each, 12 US, and the green one is called Eeks, while the pink one is called Po. To wrap up the figure news then, the Metal Robot Spirits Destiny Gundam Recoordinate went up for pre-order on November the 29th, and on Bandai's Gachapon online service, the Mobile Suit Ensemble Requiem for Vengeance went up for pre-order. One online spin will cost you 800 yen, 5 US, and will get you either the Gundam EX, Solari Zaku, Lashon Zaku, Chubbs Zaku, or Kale's Zaku. They'll all be shipping out in July, and unfortunately, they did confirm that it's going to be a Gachapon Online exclusive, so getting them outside of Japan is going to be slightly more difficult, and as a consequence, also more expensive. Meanwhile, on the gaming front then, in Gundam Battle Operation 2 for the PlayStation, the Silver Bullet F equipment type has joined the fray, while on Steam the Demeter has become available. And in UC Engage, you can now get the UR Nimbusstürzen and his Afreed custom as event unit assemblies, and you can play through the new Encirclement Breakthrough battles for things like the UR Gundam The Origin Blueprints, UR Amuro pieces, SR custom tickets, and more. And in other news, if you visit the life-sized New Gundam statue between November the 30th and January the 13th, and spend over 1,000 yen, 7 US at Gundam Side F, you can participate in a raffle for some cool Gundam-themed prizes, with the big prizes being Gundam Seed Freedom concert tickets and a clear-colored, real-great RX-93FF New Gundam. Next up, from December the 14th until February the 24th, you'll be able to experience some of Gundam Silver Phantom at the Tokyo Dome City. They have an exhibition there, and you'll also be able to don a VR headset to play a bit of the game and the gallery mode. But if you want to go, do keep in mind that it's only on Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays. And Silver Phantom will also be shown off at the SIGGRAPH Asia 2024 from December the 4th until the 6th. From the 7th until the 8th then, Shizuoka will be holding a Christmas event where Gundam will also be present with various exhibitions. And from February the 4th until the 11th, you can see ice sculptures of both the RX-78-2 and the GQuuuuuX at the Sapporo Snow Festival. As for the things you could get this week then, there was only the Carddass Gundam selection on the 29th. One pack of 3 cards will set you back 200 yen, being a little over $1, and there are 15 normal cards and 15 shiny cards to collect, making for a total of 30. For this week's reading material then, there was the 15th volume of Gundam Forward, featuring the second installment of Gundam F90's A to Z project, the Hobby Japan Mechanics Archive, the Mechanisms of the Zeon Threat Modeling book, the Domon Kashu and Master Asia Pia book, the 19th chapter of the Battle Tales of Flanagan Boone, which has become available for free online and is linked down below, and also the 3rd volume of the Tankobon has been released. And this week again, we got some excerpts from the December issue of CG World, which of course featured both Silver Phantom and Requiem for Vengeance. For Silver Phantom, they again talk about how certain scenes were translated into 3D, and for Requiem for Vengeance, they talk about how some of the backgrounds were made and then later touched up. I'll again have the links for both excerpts down below. For the apparel news then, Strict G kicked things off with some more really cool Japanese art inspired designs. For 6,380 yen, 42 US, you can either get a navy t-shirt with the RX-78 and the Zeta Gundam, or a black t-shirt with the new Gundam and the Unicorn Gundam, both of which became available at physical Strict G stores on November the 30th. And then just today, on Bankore, pre-orders began for magnetic keychains for 1,100 yen each, 7 US. You can get the logo of the OG Gundam, Zeta Gundam, Char's Counterattack, or G Gundam, or the main characters from the OG Gundam or Zeta Gundam, all of which are slated for a February release. And as always, let's quickly wrap things up with the polls. With the latest Gundam Metaverse beta test going live, Gundam.info wanted to know which feature we're looking forward to the most. And it was a very close call for first place. The Gundam Store won with 33.5%, with the Hatsune Miku collaboration getting 31.9%, so only a 1.6% difference. And I do still think that it is extremely depressing that the thing that people are the most excited for is the Gundam Store, because did you really need a metaverse for that? Did you really need to spend all of that money just to get an online store? At the very least, the Hatsune Miku concert is something somewhat special. And then in third place, we have the Gundam Museum with 20.3%, which, I mean, my first impression is also kinda on that. And then in last place, we have the thing that I thought was going to crush the competition, the smartphone Gunpla Scan Beta with only 14.3%. So that's also pretty depressing. But that has been all for this week's Gundam News. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great evening, and I'll see you all next week with more Gundam News.